From the LCS team in sunny California, it's the return of LCS Game Show Week. Join us all weekend long for the competition, starting with Lane by Lane on Friday. Countdown, the game show returns on Saturday with new games, new rules, and all your favorite contestants. Then, stick around for Sunday, where LCS Bingo gives fans the opportunity to win fabulous prizes.
Welcome back to the LCS Countdown. Next week, the LCS returns with the Game Show Week. And if you want to help test our analysts, take the survey on Twitter. Go check out the handle at LCS Official to submit your thoughts for Caster Feud. And make sure you tune in next week for the LCS Game Show. Mark, you were the previous winner, correct? In spring?
Was I? I don't even know because I never saw any winnings.
That's true. That's true. You did win. You won nothing, though, unfortunately. We'll see if we can get that changed this time around. Though as the playoff race heats up, so does the LCS stock market. We're heading into Week 7, so let's check in on the standings of both our analysts and our teams. Kobe riding high right now, almost 7K in valuation, the richest the stock market has ever seen for all three of the guys on my desk. What's going on? I mean, you're all up. That's the good news.
Positive. Yeah, we're positive.
I mean,
all that matters.
We're definitely positive, but we got to catch up. So that's why I'm definitely going for an all-in strategy this week.
Okay.
I am going to go full send on TSM. I think that they're a little undervalued, at least relative to their record. I love that picture of me. It's a great one.
Yeah, that's business Mark. You guys don't. You guys don't run into business Mark too often, but let me tell you, he's a.
Every time I get a phone call, it could be my mom, could be, IRS, just, what's this?
That's you talking to your mom?
Anyways, TSM, I think that they have a pretty winnable strength of schedule while having against decently strong opponents. Like, taking down EG will actually give them a bigger boost in their stock because they're closer together. And so even if they go 3-1 over the stretch, I still think it'll be pretty good. And I need TSM, even outside the stock market, to start being more consistent. We keep talking about the potential, the name brand power on that roster. Spica's starting to have some struggles. Broken Blade's having problems. Treats is probably a good step in for Biofrost, but we haven't seen it yet. So I want them to really get consistent over this stretch of games.
Wow, so Mark's indexing a little bit into his heart, not just his head there, wanting TSM to perform better, so he's going to throw his weight behind them. What about you, Crumbs?
Well, first of all, best they can do is 3-1, so I think it's all not aiming as high as possible. And so for me, I'm going for the top. I got to try to beat Kobe here, and 100 Thieves is not only cheaper than TSM, but does not play Cloud9. They've already beaten them, but I'm not counting on it happening again if they were to face off. So 100 Thieves, we went through their strength of schedule earlier. They've already gone past most of the stronger opponents, so now the second half should be a lot easier. And because they're a team that really likes to play the early game, I think that they'll have an easy time with these guys. So they've already beaten FlyQuest one time. I think that they could do it again, and the other opponents should be easier than FlyQuest. So I think that 100 Thieves has the biggest chance to give you the most money because everybody else that was cheaper had a much tougher schedule, including teams like Team Liquid or Cloud9.
I like the thinking there, Crumbs. Very, very logical in your approach. Probably, though, how are you going to make up the gap?
I'm going to kind of act like the bottom teams in LCS, where I'm not shooting for first place, but I'm still trying to break into playoffs. So I'm going with a solid stock EG. They had a roster swap last week. I think they're playing solid. Their win against C9 didn't look like a fluke. It wasn't a crazy draft advantage or crazy early game explosion. It was just solid gameplay throughout. And their upcoming schedule is probably the second easiest. Say like TSM's inconsistency don't seem too much like a threat. And then FlyQuest, again, had a good showing yesterday against TL, but again, very inconsistent team. So I think the way EG's playing will get me some money back, so I'm not in dead last. That's my goal.
That classic Prolly, shooting for second. Shooting for second, baby.
I'm being realistic. Come on.
Low expectations, can't be disappointed. Here we go.
We're not about realism here, Prolly. Come on. All right, we're going to dive into our top lane trading cards shortly. But before we do, here's a quick crash course on one of the longest-standing top laners in Impact, oversimplified.
Impact being a pillar of the top lane for so long, we figured you could use a refresher on the history of one of the only players to have a League of Legends skin in his honor. So here's Impact, oversimplified. Before his LCS days, Impact competed in a little-known tournament known as the Season 3 World Championship.
on a little-known team named SK Telecom T1. He and his band of babyface teammates would go on to win the Summoners Cup, starting an era of Korean dominance. Fast forward to 2015, some ups and downs in Korea would land Impact in North America on Team Impulse, a team that would make waves until their quest to Worlds would be thwarted by Cloud9's famous reverse sweeps. After a short stint on NRG, Impact would join Cloud9, establishing his own top lane kingdom for the squad, but was never able to translate it to an LCS title. After a couple years of quarterfinal runs, Impact would leave Cloud9 in 2017 for his new home on Team Liquid. Since then, he's picked up not just his first, but second, third, and fourth LCS title. Now, after Team Liquid's worst split since he joined, Impact aims to reestablish dominance and show the competition why he once lifted the Summoners Cup. And that's all you need to know in Impact Oversimplified.
Impact is one of the greats, but going into this week, we wanted to look at all of the top laners in the league, and Crumbs took it a step further with this week's tier list, giving a nuanced look at the two sides of a top laner. So Crumbs, first break it down, hit us with the criteria, the different categories, and then we'll explain the list.
So at the bottom of your screen, you see that attack is all about being able to play carries and playing strong side, so that means you're getting counterpick, you're getting resources, you're getting ganks, you're getting a lot of teleports that are used for your own lane, whereas defense is more about you have the first blind pick, you are able to play without any resources, how well can you survive those ganks and then still be relevant in the later stages of the game. So those two things play into it, but also the champion pool. There's not a lot of variety here that these players have picked. Usually if you're playing strong side, you tend to pick a lot more carries than tanks, and if you play weak side, well, you barely have any tanks in your arsenal. And also, I want to indicate, what do you notice here?
Yeah, I was going to call out, there's one extra distinction there, it seems, on the bottom. There isn't just attack defense. There's also an indicator for a specific champion itself.
Riven's a good champ, apparently, huh?
Yeah, Riven automatically boosts you to an 8. Too bad only one person in the league plays it. What I love about this is the fact that Viper's attack goes from 3 to 8 and his tier doesn't move, Crumbs. What's up with that?
Okay, so I made a mistake in the homework. I made this thinking almost like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, so that's a special effect, right? There's a special ability.
He played into my trap card.
He levels up.
Exactly, yes. So that's what I was thinking there.
Okay, now I understand. Let's dive into some of the individuals that you had on the list. Mark, who jumps out to you at first glance?
I got to talk about Ssumday first up for me. I mean, I think this has been a criminal underrating of his defense. I understand that 100 Thieves puts him as the attacker, and that's how we want to see him used. But you ask anyone, Ssumday's one of the best tank players in the league, and his weak side play is actually fine. It's not that he can't play defense, is that his team cannot win without him playing offense. So this is, I think, a more flexible card than you've given him credit for, Crumbs. I think his defense is way too low. His Ornn play is great. His weak side play is great. But his team needs him to always be on carries.
All right, Crumbs, defend your defense.
Okay, I totally agree. I messed up with Ssumday. I would have given him, I think, a 5 on the defense, but the card is intended to be played as an attacker. You
think he plays Ornn?
5? No, wait, hold on. I want everyone to hear this.
He's got 2 Ornn games.
Hold on. So
only 2.
What?
They lost.
People in the back. Crumbs is saying that Ssumday is the same as every other top laner in the league, by the way. Everyone is at 5 or above defense except for 1. So basically, Ssumday is tied for last place when he plays a tank as a top laner.
Yeah, Broken plays Ornn is as good as Ssumday. So you kidding me?
Okay. Okay, 7 and 6. Can we do that? Attack 7, defense 6. Is that fine?
You're lowering his. Why are you lowering his?
I would lower his attack. Attack is
balancing.
We can't make it too strong of a card. It has to be balanced.
Yes,
Otherwise,
he's a strong top laner. He can be a strong card too.
Stop trying to game design the players, Crumbs.
I will give Crumbs
community
credit.
Balance, okay?
I will give Crumbs credit, though, about the whole idea, like, you're supposed to play it as an attack. So 100 Thieves Ssumday specifically. I know he was talking about this in rehearsal, that, like, if it's 100 Thieves Ssumday, then you have to play him in attack mode, which then I understand.
It's the encouragement, right? So
because the team itself doesn't know how to utilize him defensively.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
We don't have the team modifiers on this.
Well,
Yeah, oh, that's true. That's a whole. Hey, look, there will be a new
That's an
LCS
expansion.
trading card game coming out to stores near you as soon as we figure out how that all works. All right, let's talk Impact though. We had the whole setup around Impact being one of the longest standing top laners in the world, let alone the LCS. And Crumbs, you've landed on a 5-7, so more defensively oriented here for Impact.
I think this is fair for him. You want to, again, like the card, you want to be encouraged in the highest value that it has, so you want to be usually playing Impact on the defense, but he has been able to win games if he's playing weak side. It's just that Team Liquid rarely plays him as that.
I think this
Probably
is
first.
All right, yeah. I'm going to say I think this is pretty close to accurate. I would maybe give one attack away and put it on defense because he does have a excessive tank pool in the top lane where other people can't. So I would say he's probably the highest defense. I would give that to him. And then, based on yesterday's Kennen game where he wanted to face check a Renekton as a Kennen, he loses one attack just from that play.
For that play alone.
Yeah, just insta knock it down.
I mean, that was definitely a big oopsie. Historically, maybe it's a 5, but coming off yesterday, it's a temporary nerf.
Yeah, temporary debuff.
It's a 4, but one of the stronger weak side players, which is almost an oxymoron in and of itself. But Impact has always impressed us on that tank play. Last, certainly not least, one of the top laners we want to talk about, Broken Blade. Ups and downs from his first joining the LCS last year to now. This has been one of the toughest top laners for me to assess personally.
With
Trump,
the exception,
you want to defend this?
Yeah, well, with the exception of Ssumday, which we have agreed was a mistake in the rating, 5 defense is the lowest defense you could go. So he's basically on par with all the other players that are playing weak side, and his carries haven't been that great. He had a pretty terrible, I think, week 5, where he struggled a lot on the Wukong and the Mordekaiser, but when he actually gets some resources, he does have a pretty strong story. So I think the jungling synergy is playing into Broken Blade, but I think he's solid. That's why I wanted to
Probably you want to take this on me.
Actually, I don't know. I'm pretty excited. Can we just both yell at the same time? No, I'm just kidding. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and say both these numbers are too high for this split. We haven't seen him do those, Kiana flanks that he was doing in spring or anything like that. So I think his strong side doesn't look great. It's mostly he gets lane push and then his jungler and mid laner come dive. I don't give all the credit to Broken Blade for that. He just got lane push. Good job. His team played well. But then when he's on weak side, he's still taking resources when he doesn't need them. I'm watching their bot lane break tempo to help him or their jungler break tempo to help him. So I really don't like his weak side. I'd actually rather have a lot of these other, tank top laners play tanks if I had to than have Broken Blade play them.
The only defense I'll give for Broken Blade is that I do think his mechanics are pretty good. There are some weak side players who are definitely on the weak side a little bit for other reasons than how the team wants to play. And I don't think Broken Blade is one of those. And I totally agree with Prawley's points about macro misplays and, seemingly not being able to play weak side oriented strategy correctly. But at least he plays the tank super well, which I think he deserves credit for. His Ornn is actually pretty clean a lot of the time. It's just the other parts of the gameplay that can be behind.
I want it to be relative to the other players, because if the lowest is 3-5, I'm not going to put Broken Blade in the lowest category. I got to put him above that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So some discrepancies in how we would rate maybe people individually on those statistics, but probably Mark, do you guys genuinely agree with the tiering? So the S to A to B to C tiers that Crumbs had for our top laners generally falls in the right buckets?
I would have definitely thrown a D tier in there. I'm a
wow.
Getting low.
Okay.
That's a classic Mark Z, though. I'm surprised he didn't jump all the way to the Fs, right? Just straight up, give someone a fail. All right. Well, a reminder that the State Farm Analyst Desk is facing off against the FlyQuest Fish Gods in our predictions game this week. They are currently tied. Granted, there's only 2 games behind us, so it's a tight race going into Saturday's games. First, let's take a look at your predictions, see how the 3 of you stand on today's games. Only one difference between the 3 of you, and that comes in the 3rd game today. Golden Guardians for Crumbs over FlyQuest. So, Crumbs, hit me with the reasoning.
So I think Golden Guardians has been looking pretty good. They've been improving steadily, and because they play early game much more fiercely than FlyQuest, I think they have a good matchup there. I was looking at a lot about FlyQuest, and we heard from their interviews, they are predictable in the draft. You do really get to know exactly what they're going to go about. Their champion pools are not very varied, and I think that's exactly where Golden Guardians is going to strike and get the dub against the Fishes, because we need them to lose. We cannot stand as humans losing to sea critters that have better prediction abilities. We just won't stand for it.
Yeah, I was going to say I would have had Golden Guardians as well, if not for the game previously. I think FlyQuest is looking a lot better, and they acknowledge their draft problems.
Well, FlyQuest is looking a lot better. How about the Fish and their predictions? They have CLG, TSM, FlyQuest, and Cloud9. How do the three of you reconcile these?
Have they ever predicted against FlyQuest?
I have not seen it on air. I would
I'm telling you, I exposed the sham yesterday. They're sprinkling more food on one side when they do the FlyQuest prediction.
Oh, okay. So some tampering. All right. We've got an accusation laid bare on the LCS today. All I care about is who wins the race, though. An update as well on the Sequest initiative. After Friday's games, $3,474 has been raised for the Coral Reef Alliance. To learn more or contribute yourself, check out FlyQuest.gg. Love to see those environmental pushes going on, and with our teams kind of leveling up their brand per usual. Great follow-up from FlyQuest from spring to summer. That's going to do it for us, though, here on the Analyst Desk. So now it's time to send it over to Captain Flowers and Kobe for Game 1 of the day.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns, and I am joined by Sam, Kobe, Hartman, Kinsler. You had a nice week off last week. You got to jump back into things last night, and we are about to continue it with a whole 4-game marathon of some League of Legends, my friend.
Yes, I'm very excited to get into it. We're just coming off of a lane swap game from the LEC. The G2 had this crazy comeback, so now I'm looking for all the crazy macro strats. Everything's on the table again. We can lane swap. We can go for level 1, 5 people invades. Let's get it.
Let's kick it off right with 100 Thieves going up against CLG. Both teams very close here in the standings. You saw that all of our analysts, our human analysts, I should say, casted their vote for the Thieves, but it was the Fish saying that CLG would walk away with the win. Let's see whether or not our boys are smarter than their friends beneath the sea, as Ornn and Ezreal are banned away by 100 Thieves, and CLG will start things off with an Olaf ban.
Yeah, I think it's intelligent. You need to target Contractz when you're playing against 100 Thieves now. Ever since they put him and Poome in, the team has been so much more aggressive. Contractz actually has a higher counter jungle percentage than even Blabber. So just let that sink in for a second. As aggressive as 100 Thieves have been, with this guy. So Olaf is pretty much mandatory, just like it is against Cloud9.
A true Chad jungler, as 100 Thieves will lock in the Ashe as the first pick of the draft, with Ezreal and Aphelios both banned away. That's two of the most popular AD carries so far this split. TF and Karma will be your last two bans there, as they all got completed in the first phase.
And I really like Ashe for aggressive teams, because not only does Ashe have a great lane phase, volley as well as the innate slow in her passive, and 600 range being enough to get good auto-spacing trades off on most other AD carries, but also gives you, obviously, the arrow to try and force things and move the game state forward. Good answer here from CLG, though. A lot of playmaking with Bard and Sett. It is definitely not going to be a support set, though. They already kind of revealed one of the biggest strengths of the champion is that it's so flexible. Really highly prized in jungle, top, and support, but I would probably put a little bit more weight in the jungle set probability for Counter Logic Gaming with the way that they like to play. Could definitely still go to Ruin, though.
Yeah, we've still got that 50-50 flex possibility, right? Take away one of the options, but fortunately he is such a versatile champion, it still doesn't lock him in. We're still seeing some of that power of the red side in the flex picks and keeping your opponents guessing. 100 Thieves, they lock in Graves for Contractz, so we will see him on something that can play very aggressively, something that can carry from the jungle, and there is Galio picked up for Ryoma.
I have Galio just really, really high on my priority list right now for mid laners, because there's so much you can get done by backing up your jungler. And we've been going over how much 100 Thieves have changed since they put Contractz in the lineup. He's a very vocal leader for the team in-game as well, likes to always go for a lot of the early game skirmishes. Looks great when Ryoma's on Galio. Remember last time they had Galio, it was with Ssumday's Camille in the top side, and you get that perfect combination of a Hextech ultimatum trapping them in for the doom of the Galio ult to land on top, and you get this crazy pick and CC combination that you can pull off. So 100 Thieves going with a very similar strategy already in Champ Select that they used to take down Cloud9 themselves.
Well, I like the pick of the Kennen against that in response by CLG, because if they're going to try to dogpile on your entire team, once Kennen gets an hourglass, he can use the slicing maelstrom potentially defensively to stop that from going in. We'll see how that plays out for him here as we get into the second part of the bans. It's Jace and Corki banned away, so both teams paying respect to those ranged solo laners.
Now, yesterday, we saw Impact's Kennen get counterpicked with a Renekton, which is, it goes against so much of, the history of the matchup. Right?
Of everything, yeah.
And I like the interview with Solo afterwards, though. He gave a little insight to, how he feels the Renekton side has gotten stronger with the extra tenacity that you can get in the new runes with Unflinching, getting the extra changes. And being a much more popular rune for the top side. I still don't think that, Ssumday will go with the Renekton pick into the Kennen, because if something does go wrong early on, it could still be very abusive. That being said, one of Ssumday's most famous champions of all time from playing in Korea was Renekton, and he's definitely well equipped to pull it out.
We'll see what they decide here. CLG, they will lock in their AD carry as the 4th pick of the draft. Exactly what I would hope they would do. Save that last pick for something a little bit more surprising. And they've gone with the Xayah here. Something that we haven't seen as much of here in Summer Split compared to ages past. But an AD carry that scales very well into the late game and has that get-out-of-jail-free card there with the ultimate. Thresh locked in now as the support for 100 Thieves. We'll see Poome on the playmaker.
Yeah, while Xayah can trade ults with Ashe, and you're always going to have this extra ability to dodge an Ashe arrow if it flies at you, I still would much rather have my bottom lane be Ashe Thresh. Ashe Thresh right now just sounds so good with the lane control that you get, the versatility that you get with engage and disengage, plus being able to transition into playing the map a lot easier later on into the game, with Thresh being able to enable a lot of split pushing options since they have Galio, and with a last pick Wukong here for Ssumday, they're probably going to do a similar thing like they did last time around. Focus on getting Ssumday some early pressure, some early leads, and then use the Galio to back up Ssumday and Contractz, and just let Cody Sun and Poome kind of fend for themselves down there. Thresh is very good at evading a lot of the attempts.
Yeah, Wukong might not have the Hextech ultimatum to keep somebody locked in that certain zone with him, but with 2 back-to-back knockups, as well as the ability to sort of infiltrate enemy lines with the invisibility from the clone to start things off, that Wombo combo potential there with the Galio is absolutely huge. Speaking of some Wombo combo potential, you can never ignore the power of the Orianna ultimate in any game that she is in. That'll be the last pick of the draft for CLG, and Pobelter has been the man that has carried this team a lot so far. Generally, whenever CLG has an "oh my god, what just happened" kind of a play, it's Pobelter driving that one all the way down. And I want to see a big shockwave in some of these team fights here coming out from him. Still hard to believe that when you look back at the beginning of this year, it was Pobelter who was not on a team. And now it's Pobelter who's been the hero of CLG ever since the end of spring.
Yeah, I mean, he was in a coaching position of all places with Team Liquid, and brought a lot of that over to CLG when he came to try and help them rebuild from the terrible spring that they had. It's definitely easy to theory craft what they want to do this time around. You mentioned it. They want to get a Sett delivering a shockwave to group people up for a big Kennen ultimate. It's just those are the ideal theoretical plays that you can try and pull off with this composition. It's going to require good attention to vision to pull that off, because you need multiple flank angles for Sett and for Kennen.
And if they can get that vision set up and keep track of where everybody's at, I also want to see the accuracy from the Bard. That ulti could be so huge in setting things up for some good face breakers come out of the set after a binding from Bard as they exit it. Kennen could just be right on top of those golden statues waiting for him to become vulnerable again. Lots of opportunities there as well.
Definitely agree. Excited to see how they play out on the Rift here. One sweeper on each team right now. Contractz is starting it. Of course, there's been a trend, obviously, in high yellow solo queues started with a lot of junglers, not just Graves, taking Ignite or even cleanse and other summoners. People have started to experiment with non-flash summoners for their jungles. Graves, obviously super common to take Ignite this time around, and it really does help out with trying to invade and win those early skirmishes, especially versus champions like Sett that can get some problematic regeneration going when he's low.
Right, it completely skews the 1v1 jungle matchup and creates an opportunity for Contractz to control the neutral game much better than he otherwise would be able to. You can see both junglers also rocking the phase rush here. That's also wielded by Pobelter's Orianna there in the mid lane. Summoner Spellbook available for both Ruin and Ryoma. 2 teleports for both sides this time around. Both AD carries have opted into combat summoner spells. No TPs for them. The cleanse on Stixxay, making sure that as this game moves forward, he's ready to respond to arrows and hooks and taunts and all sorts of nasty stuff that's going to be flying after him. As 100 Thieves go for the early invade on the enemy red, they will sweep away the ward that spotted them out. So although CLG will not be able to watch when Contractz take this and where he goes after, they will know exactly where he's at.
Yeah, that's what you're always looking for with the sweeper start with your jungler. And Contractz plays a lot of Graves, by the way. He's very aggressive when he does it. I've seen a lot of his solo queue games, always trying to invade, always trying to use Graves' range advantage to the fullest that he can from the onset of the game. It's not like, people sometimes, I think, a little bit erroneously refer to Graves as this farm for late, just scaling jungler. But especially in a matchup like this versus Sett. Oh my goodness, actually Stixxay, wow. He just takes a beating there, yeah.
Just walked up and played him, easy.
Back to the jungle though, I mean, when you have double phase rush like this, the advantage is heavily in the favor of Graves because he can proc it first and you get to kite the Sett. Wiggily here, heading down to the bottom side first though.
Well, he walks into the tri-brush right as Poome shows up, and that means Wiggily finds himself in a pretty bad spot, has to flash over that wall to make sure he doesn't get collapsed on by Ryoma. He'll get out safely, but because of Poome's rotation, that means Wiggily does not have the opportunity to go over and steal the red buff back. Because he was late getting there, because he went for clearing out his own bottom side first and foremost. And that means there's a massive early advantage here for Contractz, who still has his whole bottom side to clear out, and who's now still going back towards the top half of the map to contest up here towards this top lane and towards this top side Scuttle Crab. Wiggily now losing the early trade. Things are not looking too good for the Sett here. Smite already coming down onto the Scuttle Crab. Pobelter going to be grabbing that one, but the fight is breaking out, and the damage goes through. It's first blood for Ryoma, and 100 Thieves made that look very easy.
Flowers. Just F's in the chat for Wiggily here. He just looked like he was a chicken running around with his head cut off at the very beginning of this game. When you get your flash blown in Graves versus Sett matchup with phase rush Graves, you lose all priority in the jungle. I was already trying to talk about how Contractz is going to have this big advantage, ignite Graves, into it. But when there's no flash on the Sett, then you don't have the surprise factor of even being able to go for the all-in with one of your laners and setting it up with CC. So Contractz, as soon as he sees Ryoma blow the flash of Wiggily for free on that invade, he's like, this whole map is mine. He gets sight of Wiggily and just runs him down, no fear. You can get right next to the Sett. He's on the same side as the Scuttle Crab there, so that's why he didn't get stunned. Good little micro from Contractz, and Ryoma does not hesitate. Get right in there with the flash, secure the kill for the jungler, and this should be a Jungle Kingdom game now. With this giant advantage, and there not really being another, you need at least 2 lanes that would be able to push in and help Wiggily regain control of the map, but he just does not have that. The only possibility would be the top lane. If Ruin could get some good harassment down onto Ssumday, try and play off of that. But the problem is, Ryoma's almost 6 here on Galio too, and he's pushing in the mid lane, so it should be Contractz Jungle Kingdom.
Moving in to try to steal yet another camp here. Already level 5 against the level 4 of his opponent. Wiggily going to be the target here at the beginning yet again. Haymaker already coming down. Shield going out. Contractz through that portal. Cody Sun goes back through and it takes the lantern. Just having a little bit of fun. And 100 Thieves, they won't get anything really of great value there. Just the exhaust from the Bard. But that is a summoner spell advantage down there. Will be responded to with the exhaust from Poome. So 1 for 1. But Contractz continue to play aggressive exactly like you were talking about, making sure that he's using this Graves early, not just turning it into a farming simulator and always staying in his opponent's face.
Exactly. Every jungler loves playing games like this. So your eyes just light up. The map is yours. You get to play on your opponent's jungle more so than you have to play on your own. And again, Contractz already coming into this game had the highest counter jungle percentage in the LCS, even though a little bit less games played than Blabber. Still topping that out a little bit. With red buff still on him, he still gets to continue to try and invade, punish Wiggily. Basically, you just want to continually playing offensively to deny even small jungle camps. So even though on the bottom skirmish we saw there, you don't get a big cooldown like another flash or a big extra summoner spell, you can again just chunk out Wiggily, force him back to the fountain, take away one small camp here, one small camp there. Pretty soon, Contractz gets a multi-level lead over him, and that means all the Counter Logic gaming laners have to play safe, and they have to seed a lot of extra farm over to the 100 Thieves laners, so it's a kind of a trickle-down effect where it starts to spread out.
And with the completion of the basic jungle items, turning it into Skirmisher Saber or Stalker's Blade, Contractz gets yet another advantage there in the 1v1. Sett needs Blue Smite to be able to catch up to opponents since he is immobile, but Graves is all too happy to just take that dueling power of the Red Smite, which is kind of like a miniature Ignite and miniature Exhaust put together into one neat little package. And he is so scary in this 1v1 now. Already level 6, collateral damage and Ignite both ready to go. Red Smite as well. If Wiggily runs into him, Wiggily is dead. He knows it, and Contractz is taking this opportunity to invade with Poome at his back here once more, stealing away the blue buff there, and Wiggily will not even try to contest.
Yeah, I mean, Summoner's Rift is 100 Thieves jungle at the moment, because not only does Contractz have Red Smite and Ignite, guess what, Flowers? He's got his third summoner spell, the Galio ultimate.
Oh, baby.
Ryoma from mid lane. And that's actually the most powerful summoner spell in the game, if you didn't know. Ryoma being able to join is going to be the extra kicker. That means there's absolutely no way that the CLG lanes can fend him off. I would say that, trying to talk from CLG's perspective here, Pobelter himself was able to push in 2 of those extra lanes to get some extra CS for himself off of those plays. So at least they do have Pobelter on Orianna trying to still scale up. And once you get to at least a 1 core item for yourselves and Wiggly's got his flashback, maybe you can try and pull off those theoretical plays that we were talking about in Champ Select, where you have an ideal situation. Smoothie lands a Bard ultimate, then Wiggily and Ruin get into position, and you just get this crazy Orianna Shockwave plus Sett ultimate and Kennen ultimate combinations over the opponent team. The problem is 100 Thieves don't have to group up for stuff like that. They can easily play the map with their globals of Galio and Ashe.
Well, we've been talking a lot about the successes of 100 Thieves early, particularly looking at the jungle and how Contractz has sort of been able to have an ideal situation in this matchup, in this game. But when you look at the top of the screen and the scoreboard, you see that the gold is dead even, and you already mentioned Pobelter's CS advantage there in the mid lane. There's a similar advantage in the top side as Ruin is playing Kennen, and generally as Kennen, you're going to have a lane advantage. It's part of your champion unless some really bad stuff happens with a Renekton and some minion aggro. So when you look at these two, they're really keeping this team in an even position as we move towards these fights that could be breaking out here. 1 Drake already in 100 Thieves' pocket, 3.5 minutes until the next one spawns. Maybe CLG wants to fight for that. Maybe they deem it unimportant. A lot of times if teams aren't feeling it, it's very easy to let the first 2 Drakes go and not really worry until the third one. Contractz is working on this Rift Herald now, though. Smoothly moving forward, thinking about maybe contesting this one. Contractz already igniting him. Ryoma moving forward, and Ssumday has joined the fight as well. Ashe arrow beautifully shot from a long way away, and the Wombo combo does the job.
Oh my goodness, Poome get hit with every ultimate on that side of the map. He gets hit with the Wukong knock-up, into the Ashe arrow, into the Galio ultimate. That is a 1 dead Orianna, my friend.
Everything but the kitchen sink on its way to Pobelterville, USA.
You start pinging enemy ultimates.
Yeah, just go down the scoreboard, ping every single one of them.
Like, that one's on cooldown. This one's on cooldown. That one's on cooldown.
Like, all right, guys, what are we going to do, team? Let's do something here. Unfortunately, there's not really an opportunity to do much of anything there for CLG, so 100 Thieves will just collect that as another little win for themselves. With Shelly in pocket and it only being 10.5 minutes into the game, there should be the chance for 100 Thieves to use this at any point during its duration and still get some plate money for it. You can see all 5 plates still intact here up in the top side. Trying to look at the mini-map and get the status of everything across the other lanes, but Xayah's head is too big, kind of blocking that bottom one for me. Pobelter's been doing a great job keeping that mid lane pushed out like you were talking about, so that's still at 5 as well, and bottom appears to be 5 likewise. So lots and lots of good places for Shelly to headbutt some stuff.
So one of the main goals now for CLG is for Wiggily to try and keep track of Contractz. If he can shadow Contractz, just be on the same side of the map, trying to immune the Shelly ultimate, but looks like the dive is imminent.
Remember, Bard can also stop Shelly's charge, but he won't be able to do anything to save Stixxay as the plates are being worked down here. 100 Thieves doing this for maximum value with that Rift Herald if they decide to use it. As you can see, Wiggily just deciding, okay, I know my opponent's making more happen across the map. I'm going to try to steal some Gromps. He walks up and unfortunately runs into Ssumday, gets bonked on the head with the stick, but then gets to walk away. Ssumday's not looking to turn this into 100-0 anytime soon. They'll put the last little bit of damage into these plates. This should be the ideal time to summon up the Shelly here for Contractz. Just drop that one and take this down. Instead, it looks like he's going to back and save Shelly for a different time, as Ryoma uses the Justice Punch to buffer away.
The heck is that frog question mark? I don't think I've ever seen that one before.
It's one of my favorite emotes. It's the one that you're like, what? Really?
Where the heck did that come from?
I
want to go back to that dive though, because it was just Stixxay was just so resigned to his death. I was preparing myself. I was like, okay, so they have Xayah ultimate, Flash, and Cleanse, plus a Bard ultimate, and Smoothie's kind of hovering behind. So they're going to get him out of this, right? You know, Operation Extract Stixxay from the imminent tower destruction.
Yeah.
But he just kind of resigns himself to the death. They don't use any of those ultimates or summoner spells to try and escape. And I guess that you have them for later, you can say, but where's the point later where you're making your move? Contractz has full control over Dragon, so the next objective take is going to be kind of effortless for 400 Thieves, and they'll continue stacking those Dragons. Just seemed a little bit questionable. 1 minute left, 50 seconds here left on the Herald, and Contractz going to use it mid instead. Looks like they think they could just take off the extra plates on bottom by hand.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by that. Is there, so what's the, you're my smart guy here. Nice shot by Poome, as Smoothie lands the Tempered Fate to buy a little bit of extra time, but Pobelter falls. It's Poome taking the kill. He says, look, man, I did the work. I hit the skill shot. It's my money.
I like it.
Support for 100 Thieves gets his reward as that mid lane turret nearly falls.
Yeah, I mean, so I was kind of with you. I thought they were going to just use it on the last 2 plates. Those ones give the most armor to the turret, and you can use the true damage for Shelly to get that bonus first turret, extra 150 local gold. But Contractz goes for another attempted invade, pops the phase rush and gets right back out. In the end, they did get more value out of using it mid and getting that strong push here and getting most of the plates off this turret as well. And they're still going to get first turret bonus anyway. So I feels like it's a case of the rich just being a little bit more greedy and then wanting to get a little bit richer.
Yeah, I can't tell if this is results-based analysis or if they're just too 5-head for me, and they're like, oh, no, you think we should use it down here, but this is actually the right play. So I'm not smart enough to solve this case. Instead, I'm going to talk about this fight that's breaking out as Wiggily comes in from behind, looking to slam Ryoma back into the waiting arms of Smoothie and some damage in CC. Ryoma's still just walking away. Justice Punch back, trying to buy a little bit of extra time here. Taunt barely landing onto Smoothie. And here's another one from Cody Sun. And Smoothie goes down. Well played, 100 Thieves. Cody Sun 2 for 2 here on the arrows.
100 Thieves been looking pretty good after a couple of their changes. You know, the younger, fresh squad coming in, Contractz and Poome, both making plays, both getting the kills as well for a lot of their plays. See if the last remaining outer tower will probably be the next easy target for them as they can call for the lane swap. Let's see about the Galio timer on the ultimate. Didn't quite see what the last few seconds on it were. Is available, no problem here. So you can go easily invade, get the deep wards down on the bottom side of the map, and the only side 100 Thieves have to worry about is Ssumday.
That was horribly unlucky.
Lay it on me, Flowers. How do you feel when your ult gets negated by a regular ability?
That was really, really unfortunate for Ruin. He thought he had the distance to catch up there with the Proto Belt, but he forgets that after Wukong's update, you get some extra range when you cast the W. He easily gets away, and Ssumday's not even remotely concerned about it. You know how I know Ssumday's a nice guy, Kobe? Because he didn't flash an emote. Well, no. Pretend I've never talked to him. Pretend that I'm just assuming this from in-game information. It's because he didn't flash an emote at that one. Because if that was Niski or Solo or any of our guys who like to throw those up all the time, that was an emote moment right there. But Ssumday, very cool, ever the professional, ever the gentleman, not allowing his
I like it.
His inner demons to come out there. As Contractz and the rest of 100 Thieves have control over the top side river, Contractz can easily pick up that second Rift Herald of the game, and 16 minutes into this game, just about 17 minutes here, it is still a 100% objective game for 100 Thieves. Their opponents have yet to get anything Turret, Drake, or Rift Herald, and now Ssumday is going in with the engage onto Ruin. Contractz shows up, they get the flash out of the Kennen, Ssumday eats some damage on the way out. But Summoner Spell down means Contractz may be able to pay another visit up here sometime soon.
Yeah, and he's holding on to Rift Herald number 2 as well. Generally, Rift Herald number 2, you want to save for after you win a fight. There's a lot more pressure using Rift Herald number 1 with his timing window, 14 minutes. You want to get it down before the turret plates. But Rift Herald number 2, you want to get one of those big drives off. And with only 30 seconds left on the Dragon, 100 Thieves could easily set up. You just go recall, buy your control wards, return to the Dragon area first. Try and get your wards down so that Cody Sun can hit him with another arrow, and you get the full Wombo combo.
Well, we're talking about Dragons. We got the next one here in 14 seconds. We are looking at an Ocean Soul game, and we're looking at a 100 Thieves team that is using Shelly here in the mid lane. They're going to create a distraction there. They're going to use that chance to walk down towards the bottom side river, set up some vision, potentially start the Drake right now. Ssumday just completed his Trinity Force on his last back before this fight, so he's very ready to get involved here. Does not have the ulti ready to go, but still capable of doing plenty of damage if he jumps into the back line. But Wiggly's putting himself in a spot for a smite steal. Who's going to win out on this one? Smoothie going to be taken rather low here as Wiggily tries to contest here in the middle of the pit, but likely going to be taken down first. Ruin jumps in, Contractz with a secure onto the objective, and CLG has 3 here in the pit. Ruin's going to be the first one to pop in that melee. Contractz grabs the kill onto him. Everybody's still alive except for Poome on the side of 100 Thieves. Ssumday walks up and bonks Stixxay right across the head. It's a 1 for 2 so far. Wiggily and Smoothie are on the run. Oh no, they're going to lead him right to the remaining teammate. As Ryoma walks in, he face checks 3, but he's got so much HP, he's not too worried about it. Taunt down onto 2. Wiggily looking to fight here against Contractz, who has to dash away from the melee range on the Sett. Smoothie taken down there on the very back end of the fight. Wiggily is the last man standing, and he will hobble away from that one with 100 HP. This is practically one of those things that you see in a war movie where they leave one guy alive to tell the story of the battle. Good lord. That was not pretty for CLG.
Yeah, you go back and you tell the rest of Counter Logic Gaming what happened here. Never return to the side of the Dragon. I wanted to point out the desync in the time. The teleport right now is channeling. Ruin just arrived behind the red buff, but there are already 2 members. You see Stixxay and Smoothie running for their lives, almost dead, before the 5th member of CLG actually arrived. So there was a really big miscommunication, desync on the timing for CLG, where they go for the initiation and then start the channel on the teleport for one of the biggest parts of their AoE Wombo combo that we keep on trying to talk up as their salvation. If you don't have the Sett plus Orianna plus Kennen there, then all falls apart like this, and in the end it turns into You know, everybody for themselves, scramble, run around, try and escape through the enemy jungle, but 100 Thieves chase them all down. Contractz gets a little bit low, but with the extra phase rush, is able to get out as well.
Yeah, that went really, really well there for the side of 100 Thieves. And even though Wiggily did have the bad early game that he did, he was the one who did the most damage on either team in that fight. The only one breaking 3,000 damage dealt to champions over the course of the fight, getting plenty of damage off with the haymakers and just being able to beat on Contractz there at the end. But it's still 100 Thieves who have themselves a 6,000 gold lead. They're pushing onto those tier 2 turrets, trying to get even more of that objective gold here in their pockets. Nothing on the scoreboard for CLG, barring that one kill onto Poome in the last team fight. They're trying to find their way back into this one, Kobe, but they're really not having a lot of chances here. 100 Thieves playing it pretty clean.
The way back in for them is a long road. It's very convoluted. You pull out the map, and half the map has been ripped off, and you have to go on one of these Jumanji chases to find all the pieces, put the map back together, and then you still have to, you know, climb over the mountain. You're just like, gee, oh my, I'm just gonna, you know, play defense inside my base. How about that?
It's much easier to go on a quest if I just don't go. I'll just sit here at home and hope for the best. As Smoothie tries to clear away the ward, places the portal down behind him wisely so he can make a quick exit when the rest of 100 Thieves shows up. Ruin just trying to farm up this minion wave here, and Baron's on the table. It's 22 minutes into the game. Total map control here for 100 Thieves. What's the play?
This is what I want to see. We want to see the combo pulled off one time in this game. You know, the coordination this time around. You get another chance. There's still a minute and a half on the Dragon Soul. That's probably what 100 Thieves are going to wait for. They don't have to take any risks in this game. You know, it's kind of in their hands. So you don't have to risk anything at the Baron. You go to the easy objective, just the 4th dragon that pops up, and you get a big reward if you're able to pull it off. That's the one where we need to see CLG. Right now, you still have a minute. Send somebody down, probably Bard. You know, Smoothie, it's going to be a dangerous mission, but you know, get down there, try and place a ward. Yeah, exactly. Try and place a ward deep so you can try and get some vision, possible flank opportunities for yourselves. Other than that, maybe Wiggily Hex Flash?
Well, he Hex Flashed right into Contractz, as now Ryoma's going to enter on top of Poome, and here comes the follow-up. CLG is on the retreat, but Ssumday's jumping in, looking to find the spins and the wins. Pobelter trying to get himself away. Ssumday's going to be spinning here the second time. Pobelter's already down. So is Wiggily. So is Smoothie. Everybody is just wiped off the face of Summoner's Rift here. Ssumday, the sacrificial lamb for 100 Thieves, but a very big team fight for them. And Contractz is heading over to Baron.
Yeah, Baron, easy reward here. Only person left alive is Stixxay, and he has no business running over to try and throw feathers at the Baron for one of those Hail Mary steals. And there's also wards that would see him if he went to go try and steal away the dragon. So even that dragon attempt, you see him going right now. He's getting pinged already. Oh. That could be a one-way trip. They're using teleports to try and support him, though. So Ruin 5 seconds, Pobelter 3 seconds. They could use 2 more teleports and burn it down. They are using them. Invest all the teleports.
They have to stop this Ocean Soul. They know if their opponents get Baron plus Ocean Soul at 24 minutes, the game is just done. So that's a double teleport, one of which came from a Summoner's Spellbook, investments from CLG to make sure they stop the Ocean Soul. I like it.
All right, they got something. Got something back here. Stalled out at least the soul that you're talking about, but this is 24 minutes into the game with Baron buff. I think 100 Thieves are looking to crack an inhibitor turret at the least. You have to be so wary about the tower dive with Ashe, Galio, and Wukong.
There's the frog again.
That one gets me every time. It's just the tongue wrapping all the way around itself. It's just a little much.
Pobelter got again. And good aim from Cody Sun has just proved to be the demise of CLG from start to finish here in this game. He's hitting the shots when they count every single time. 4-0-5. He is making it happen as 100 Thieves will push down the mid lane tier 3 turret. Cody Sun continuing to pour the auto attacks into that one. A couple more shots should do it. And it looks like they'll just leave it up to this little Kennen minion here. He's the MVP, putting the last couple shots in there as the mid lane inhibitor now finds itself under siege. Damage pouring through onto that one. Nobody from CLG even bothering to contest. 100 Thieves have taken it down. Baron on everybody here as they continue this assault. Cody Sun and Contractz have rotated over towards the bottom lane now, just waiting for Ssumday to shove that minion wave up. Ssumday was able to respawn in time to get that Baron buff, so everybody's wearing purple here for the Thieves. Contractz has been caught out, and he will be shut down. Poome could heavily be in danger here now as well. Nice shockwave on to 2 to take out the support, and CLG have found themselves a very nice fight with a 2 for 0.
Yep, definitely a good counterpunch there by CLG to stop the bleeding. Mid inhibitor is already down, and 100 Thieves already eyeballing number 2. But Smoothie, good pick here. Tempered Fate catches them inside the base, and they lay down the Xayah Feathers right there to snare him in place as well. And they get the kill on Contractz, on Poome. Some gold back for themselves, but there's no way you get an objective in the aftermath. It's just trying to patch up all the holes in the sinking ship.
Yeah, taking state of the game after that, because it's easy to get a little bit excited when you see the team that's been losing for a long time come back and get that punch to the gut to their opponents, but we're still looking at a 9,000 gold game. We're still looking at the inhibitor falling sort of as the trade for those 2 kills. A very uphill battle here for CLG, and yes, they stopped the Ocean Soul, but the problem about stopping these souls when you're nowhere close is that it's a lot of risk for very little reward, because what you get is a pretty underwhelming single Drake, but you have to stop it to prevent that soul.
Speaking of which, we just saw, never mind,
We just
another
saw that
arrow
again.
hits.
And Poome with the flash of the death sentence to follow it up. This bottom lane, they're not on the same page, Kobe. They're on the same line of the damn book. They're reading the sentence together. Word for word, completing each other's sentence. These guys have the chain CC on lock.
The comms here, Cody Sun, I see an angle. Boom, yes, I got you with the follow-up. Boom, they're in there again. Cody Sun does not miss. Tower's going to go down as well.
Now that tier 3 out of the picture means Ryoma can go right into the back line there looking for Pobelter. A little bit more damage will do it. End of the line, finds the target. Smoke screen down onto Stixxay's Xayah as soon as she lands from the ultimate, and Inhibitor 2 has been removed from the base of Counter Logic Gaming. Ssumday hanging out here in the bottom side, continuing to remove the minions, just waiting for the rest of the boys to come join up and turn this into a 3-inhib game. Ryoma with the stasis, keeping himself protected. Contractz continuing to front line here, but he has overextended, likely will fall. There you go. Ryoma can't save him in time with the ulti. More damage coming through, more slows from Cody Sun, as Ryoma will keep Wiggily locked down there on the other end of the base. There are only 2 players left standing on the side of CLG, and 100 Thieves is going to make sure they take this slow and steady to win the whole damn race. Final inhibitor should fall right about now. Ocean Drake number 4 for 100 Thieves will be spawning here in 30 seconds. Baron will spawn in 90. 100 Thieves with the remaining 4 players don't want to try to overextend into a game ender here. Ryoma already had to go back to base, so they'll just play it nice and easy, setting up shop here for that Drake spawning in 15.
Cody Sun improving his own counter jungle numbers as well. He wants
These
to get
damn
all those
marksmen
stats.
stealing all my stuff as Wiggly's story this game.
It's not just a jungler stat. Cody Sun's getting it in there too as well. He has not died this game, has hit every single arrow. Just the follow-up in the coordination for 100 Thieves this time around gives you so much confidence.
So good.
In this team in the back half of the split. Like what a surge it has been. This game alone is going to bring them to parity with CLG. They'll tie them in the standings. And I definitely see 100 Thieves as one of the rising stars here in the LCS. Even though last weekend they still showed that there are multiple places where they can and will make mistakes later in the game. They have also had extremely good early games, extremely good dragon fights. So there's definitely a lot of promise that they're looking to build upon.
100 Thieves continuing to steal away everything from CLG's half of the map. You can look at the ward lines. You can see that one bush is very well monitored by the side of CLG. They are very concerned with the contents of that shrubbery, sir. They've got to know what's going on, and they will. Unfortunately, that's about all they're going to know, because 100 Thieves own the rest of Summoner's Rift, and with Contractz and Cody Sun as a duo, they will do more than enough damage to this Baron. Cody with all that damage coming out from Blade of the Ruined King and 2 crit items, as well as Black Cleaver and Death's Dance, that ideal bruiser build there from Contractz' Graves. I think he might have just tried to dash over the wall and missed it. Because he was standing in the back of the pit.
Thank you, observers, for moving away. These observers paid by Contractz. He's like, don't show that. Cut the tapes. Cut the tapes. We
It's
got
like
the
he
Baron.
stutter stepped there for a second and then just started walking away. I was like, I know what happened. I've seen this
I've seen
before.
this too many times in my solo queue games.
Oh, it doesn't matter too much. If that's the biggest sin you're committing in the game, is failing to dash over the Baron wall after you collect it for the second time and your team's up 12,000 gold, I think you're going to be doing all right as Contractz disengages there. Wiggily going to be dealing with him in the 1v1 as CLG tries to move forward. 100 Thieves wisely falling back. Contractz dashing in here again. Stixxay getting hit by the arrow, but the cleanse is ready. So 100 Thieves will not be able to profit off of that engage here this time. Wiggily jumps in, finds the haymaker on his last bit of life, but it's not enough to keep him alive. 2 already dead on the side of CLG, probably going to be even more now. They go back into the safety of the fountain, and 100 Thieves have taken control of everything all the way home. Nexus falls 31 minutes in.
Calm little drink from the water glass there for Ryoma. Business as usual for them. 100 Thieves wrap it up quickly. Honestly, stemming a lot from that strong early game play. I have to say, Ryoma himself collapsing onto Wiggily, burning Wiggly's flash, allowing the setup there. Contractz then finds him in the river, and Ryoma's there once again, collapses again immediately, flashes in, allows him to get the first blood kill. This is a guy that is playing more for the team. I'm loving him, especially on Galio, where he can be more supportive to the rest of the big playmakers on the team. Ssumday and Contractz still trying to push the game state forward and pop off, and Ryoma's right there with them.
Yeah. I mean, you're a jungler. You know how good it feels to have Galio as your mid laner. You're never in that situation where you're wishing that your mid laner was shadowing you as you invade. And when you have somebody like Contractz, you said the numbers at the beginning of the game back in Champ Select. Contractz has a higher counter jungling number than Blabber. He wants to be aggressive. He wants to invade. He wants to play a champion like Graves that shines in these situations. And when Ryoma can back him up, when Poome is always there, also like what we saw back at level 3 to stop Wiggily from being able to do anything behind enemy lines, it just looks so good. And it's only complemented when apparently Cody Sun's arrows are point and click.
Yeah, is the targeted ability there for him, hitting him over and over. And that's what you need in a comp like that, where when you hit one, you have so much follow-up. It makes it so much easier for all the rest of the playmakers on the team to land their CC as long as you get the first one to hit. And Cody Sun was there to be the first.
Yeah, 100 Thieves made this game look really good. They made this game look really clean. And I'm pretty happy with just how that played out. Now, obviously, CLG can't be telling the same story. CLG and 100 Thieves now tied in the standings as the Thieves work to claw their way up and secure themselves a good spot here in these last couple of weeks of regular season play. It's time for us to step away, but once we return, we will be breaking down the game with the State Farm Analyst Desk. Don't you go anywhere.
Welcome to Assist of the Day, presented by State Farm. In this play, 100 Thieves had tactical dead to rights, but Core JJ turned it around to leave Contractz seeing stars.
Target of the dive here. Contractz getting the CC back, but is outplayed by Team Liquid, who turn around and take him down.
Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk following that 100 Thieves victory over CLG. Gents, let's dive straight into it. I want to take a look at the draft first, and then we're going to turn a critical eye towards CLG because, Mark, you had done that piece earlier in the show on how they conducted themselves in overall game plan. But let's first establish what these teams are trying to do in Champion Select.
I mean, I gotta say, I really like the 100 Thieves side of it. This is like sort of comp we've seen a bunch of times where Ssumday more on a carry, Contractz more on a carry, and more utility coming out of the mid and bot side of the map.
Nope, this is great. I think what 100 Thieves did in their first rotation was awesome. It was the Galio, Graves, and Ashe. So you have strong jungler, strong bot push, and then you have a middle laner who can roam. I do want to give some criticism on CLG on their first three. They third picked the Kennen for Ruin. When 100 Thieves wasn't showing their top lane yet, but 100 Thieves showed their mid laner, so you have the option to counterpick mid and counterpick top of this draft. And here, there's no Ezreal, Ashe, Ezreal and Affiliates were both banned, so there's no more good picks against Ashe, and then CLG drops their 80 carry to 4-5, so they play Xayah. This is the first time I've seen Xayah to Ashe, I think, in Summer, and it's not a strong matchup. So what 100 Thieves did is they got a fine farming matchup top, they got a winning jungle, a fine mid, and then a hard-winning bot lane in their draft.
We're seeing some teams that instead of picking the Xayah, they can just pick Jhin. Jin's kind of making his way back onto the Rift, so that would have been an option that CLG could have gone for. But the early game invade was where 100 Thieves started, and we knew they were going to be playing aggro early. It's how they beat Cloud9 in the first place.
Yeah, this invade from 100 Thieves is so effective because if you watch at the bottom, their bot lane is getting lane advantage, and Poome is able to see where Sett starts. So Contractz just gets a free red, and Ssumday gets so much lane pressure taken off of him because Ssumday can lane for like completely fine against a Kennen. He's not going to win. But now he knows the jungler's not going to be topside, so he's not worried about getting dove. And then their bot lane's pushing so hard, they know that they can push and defend Contractz' red side when Wiggily inevitably comes to invade, which he's doing right now.
Boom, on a ward.
On a ward. And so now it's just cool. We have pushing bot lane. Let's collapse. Mid lane, just start collapsing. And then this is how the early game starts, is he's getting 3 buffed, and then Wiggily has to flash out of this or he's going to die. And this is the start of the game. This is how the game starts.
Right, now losing Flash up to the top side to contest for Scuttle. Contractz happy to take this fight now on the Ignite Graves. Even with Pobelter arriving first, it's going to be first blood going over to 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and this is what we like to see with Ryoma being able to come over and collapse and support Contractz' aggression. And that was, you know, like we always talk about how early is it to call a good game, you know, when can you FF out of the chat. That was one of those ones where, like, at that point, you know, with all the comp things we've already discussed, you're starting to feel pretty bad. It wasn't the end of the game, but it was that was a yikers.
So let's cap this off just with a commentary on 100 Thieves. How do we overall feel about the adjustment in strategy, where it does seem like Contractz is being positioned more and more like the carry for the team, or at least the top side of the map is?
I love it. I love it because this is a team that is trying to get a hit early and snowball a game. Most teams right now are buckling down and saying, let's just try to scale up and play a little bit safer, and that explosiveness can lead to victories against all the other teams. It's how they beat Cloud9, how they beat FlyQuest, so that makes them a stronger dark horse than any of the other teams in the league.
Now, we had called out 100 Thieves, one of the earliest, rather easiest strength of schedules remaining in the LCS, and they start things off with a win here. So climbing the standings is their goal. We're stepping away. When we return, we've got Game 2 with TSM versus Dig. Stay tuned.
And we've upgraded her with the sonic shield and holographic mapping drones.
Impressive.
There is one more thing.
Jake from State Farm.
Here's the deal. With the Drive Safe and Save app, you'll save up to 30% for being a safe driver and get a discount just for signing up.
Well played, Jake from State Farm. As usual.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.